Okay, so we are here with another modern video, and this time we are playing Blue Black Mill. I was originally trying or thinking about playing Twiddle as my next video, but ultimately I feel like Twiddle has lost some of the positioning it had. I feel like it's not in as great of a position as it was even a few weeks ago, so I'm a little bit down on it at the moment. And I was just kind of fishing around for something to play, and I wanted to play something different, and I ended up coming across Mill. So I've played a decent amount of Mill before. I won in RCQ in the fall with it, stuff like that. So I generally at least kind of know my way around it. I like Well, I tried to make some adjustments at the moment for some of the current concerns in the meta. In particular, I was concerned about Scion of Draco, so I'm trying a couple of counter spells here over, or as an additional way to stop that, since Fatal Push doesn't, and Drown in the Lock only sometimes can. Often Drown in the Lock feels like it could be too slow. We're running the full 4 surgical alongside Glimpse. This does provide a nice way to maybe try to take a reasonable stab at taking out a Crashing Footfalls or something like that on turn number 2 before they get to play it on turn 3. We're going down a bit on Tasha's because there is a decent amount of high CMC floating around. However, I have the remaining 2 copies in the board for those matchups where you kind of one-shot them like Hardened Scales or Hammer or whatever. Other than that, I'm not running Preordain. I don't like the idea of Preordain in Mill, so you're kind of taking a turn off for some selection, but for the most part, I like Preordain better in decks where you're using it to look for a specific card, and it feels like it kind of slows our game plan down in a way that I'm not too comfortable with in Mill. Other than that, definitely feel free to check out the deck list that will be in the description for this. I will post it up on like Moxfield or something like that. Sideboard, we have some answers to Endurance, some Ensnaring Bridge, Crypt Incursion, Extinction Event. Extinction Event was a cool piece of tech I saw from some recent list. I don't remember whose it was, but it kills the Scion of Draco. It kills Rhinos, which are 0, but it does not kill our 1 CMC crabs. So I figured maybe I want to try that out. Hibernation seems pretty good right now overall. And yeah, that's the list. I feel like it's reasonably standard as far as mill lists go. I am interested in testing one of those Trapmaker Snare heavier archive trap lists. I do feel like those are pretty cool, but for now we'll just play this pretty stock one. I do also like the blue white, but I've more so played blue black historically myself, so we're sticking to what we know. All right, let's get into a league. Okay, so we're here with round number 1. Our opening hand looks pretty nice. Double Archive Trap. We have a Crab. We have a Visions of Beyond. And we have a Tasha's if this is a matchup where that is a decent thing to be doing. Double Trap is basically impossible to turn down. I'm going to start on a Flooded Strand, fetch Basic Island, and play this Crab. This may... I mean, they're not really going to be... Oh, they are Archive Trap. Okay. So it's the Mill Mirror. Interesting. So they're not really going to be able to get away with not fetching if they're a deck. So I don't mind giving away that I mill here is basically what I was saying. We pick up Fractured Sanity, which is okay. Not the best, but definitely not the worst either. Here I'm just going to pass. Depending on what they do, if they mill us more, I could Visions, or alternately I could cycle this Fractured Sanity. I understand that they could have Fatal Push here for our Crab, but I think I do want to keep the option open of getting the tap land, so I'm willing to risk the 3 mill with this. They're going to mill us. And they'll mill us a little bit more, getting us to 20. So on their end step, I'm going to... I'm going to attempt a Visions. And we'll see, because they're holding up Drown in the Loch. So yes, so they're going for the Drown in the Loch. Okay, good. So yeah, the goal here was definitely to bait them. So they've cast that. But now I can double trap them. And we can get a Undercity Sewers looking for something relevant. They're down to 18 cards. We will definitely take this Field of Ruin. So we can play this Field of Ruin, our opponent mills. And we can Tasha's them here. Now the question is how many... We've gotten rid of a lot of 3-cost things. And we've also gotten rid of 2 archive traps. So if we Tosh... The other possibility is we hit them with Field of Ruin, and we potentially take them off of black mana if we destroy their water grave. I want to see if their swamp is in their graveyard. It is not. So, given that I don't think that's going to be the play. So I think we just go for the Tashas here. We'll see what we end up hitting. So we did hit the remaining 15, so we're going to get this game. So the Mill Mirror in round number 1 here, definitely an interesting one. Our opponent has, let's see, they don't have main deck Surgical. They are playing Preordains. So that's the main distinction in their list. They also have Spell Pierce. Okay. So, what do I like here? Well, Archive Trap is the only expensive card, so I feel like Tasha's is pretty reasonable. Life obviously doesn't matter. Most of these cards don't matter. Extirpate could be okay. Potentially we can strip out a counterspell of some kind. Surgical I'm a little less interested in. And Fatal Push kills crabs, that's good. Spellbomb could wipe a graveyard if someone is trying to draw with a Visions, but for the most part, I feel like that's a little bit narrow. I think I like running it like this, just sort of maximize our number of mill spells, as well as some of our counter spells and removal. So this hand is a little bit on the slower side. That being said, if they mill us too much, we do have the ability to just Visions from based on our own graveyard, so I am going to keep this. Our opponent leads on Island Pass, and I think we're probably going to lead on Shelldock, but let's see what we draw. Okay, so yeah, I like the idea of leading on Shelldock. We actually should have milled or boarded up slightly over. Ooh, Fatal Push or Rune Crab. Rune Crab has the potential to close out a game if we need it to. It's not exactly exciting, but could be worse. They're playing a crab, and then they're playing a water grave, so they're hitting us for 3. They get a Tasha's. They've got 5 in hand. We may play Hedron Undercity rather than hold up this Drown just to get some of our mill game going. I think that's pretty reasonable. They could certainly have Fatal Push. They're going for a Surgical. Alright, so we're going to go Hedron. And we could play this Polluted Delta, and then when they try and kill it, fetch again in response. I think I don't want to give them a window on Archive Trap if I don't have to, or at least certainly not yet. Because I feel like they kind of feel like they're holding up an Archive Trap. So I want another crab. yeah, I'll take another crab. It's certainly going to get milled, but I don't want to mill. I don't want to do their job for them. And if they don't mill us somehow, they're cycling visions. Okay, I'm relatively okay with that. I feel like I'm reading that as a sign of weakness. So they play another crab, and they're playing a delta. Be interesting to see if they go for the fetch here. They have hit 2 of our archive traps, so that's not ideal. They're going to get another 6 here. All right. So we go to our turn. We draw another crab, which I'm relatively okay with. And here, no, they're disputing our crab. Okay. All right, I'm okay with that. We can't pay for it. And I could shock in this water grave, which I am going to do. Again, I'm not necessarily exposing the fetch, even though it could potentially result in milling more. I think next turn I will end up milling more, and then I can cash in this Visions and hopefully try to leverage some card advantage to win this game. I could kill one of these crabs if I need to, but I think it's going to do more countering some sort of big splashy spell. Okay, they are milling a Fractured Sanity. So that hits us for 4. That does put us to 20 in the yard. Now, I could kill a crab here while this cycling trigger is on the stack. And I think I like that to just sort of utilize our mana efficiently. So this means that they didn't have an opportunity to play a land there. And they're not going to be able to play another 3-drop spell. Okay, they did just refill. And they're fetching now. Okay, so we're at 24. They did just get a fresh hand, so we're going to get a chance to Visions here ourselves, but we're going to have to hit something pretty decent. Archive Trap is okay. Can Field of Ruin and then have the option of making them search for Trap. And I can Visions. So we are above 20. Now the question here is, what are they going to do with this island? It feels like maybe they have a Spell Pierce in hand, but they didn't. Okay, so they didn't go for it. Now I can... So I could Field here and then play another crab and then trap them. I think that's what we're going to do. This does potentially let them have Drown up, but we kind of don't have too much of a way around that. So if they want to, like if we want to use the fields there, I understand I'm wasting this crab's activation, but I have enough extra 2-a-turn lands that I want to potentially be able to leverage this trap. This crab will eat some sort of counter or removal. Okay, they trap us. We're probably dead here. Yeah, if they have a land, we're dead. We're certainly dead. Yeah, trap was not ideal here. Okay. Alright, I'm just gonna pick this one up. They're gonna get that one. If they have either a mill spell or a land in hand that kill us, so they kind of kill us with everything there. So, they definitely got a little bit of a faster start there from being on the play. Hopefully, us being on the play in game 3 will be what we need, and this hand has no lands, so we cannot keep it. This hand is a bit better. So I have Crab. Debating if I want to keep this. I think the Tasha's is actually the card we send. And we just have Crab, and then like Crab kill their Crab. So that's a pretty powerful couple of turns. We can kind of get these crabs churning. Okay, they didn't play a crab. So I got crab. Flooded Strand. So here I'm not going to fetch right now because there's no reason to give them the ability to trap. We do hit 3 fatal pushes, which is kind of cool because it means our crabs are pretty likely to survive. So there's cycles and visions. Okay, so some sort of weird technical glitch there. I'm going to get this water grave now in case they... Yeah, so before they draw the card. So it's just slightly lower odds of them having trap. Okay, so they shock in a water grave. This certainly reads like a drown in the lock. We draw a drown in the lock for turn, so we can play Field of Ruin. Keep milling them. And I'm just going to go ahead and pass here. No reason to rush things. I can hold up drown for whatever they try to do. They kill a crab. Do I want to counter it? Oh, they're cycling Fractured Sanity. Alright, that's really not that scary. Could have thought about fielding in response, but then I don't have drown up anymore, so I don't like that as much. So our opponent has Misty. They're going to fetch. And they're going for something, maybe. Oh, maybe not. Alright. So I will field them on their end step here. So they can't get off a Tasha's or a Fractured. Okay, so they do get some card draw, but the sorcery speed triple blue removals are not on the table anymore. We are going to get a triple blue for this Fractured Sanity. Our opponent does not... Yeah, their swamp is gone, so they are taken off of drown mana. So that's very good for us. So we have a couple different options. We could either cycle Fractured, try and hit a land, hold up drown, or just jam Fractured. Now, they have no Spell Pierces in their graveyard, so I think it's reasonably likely that they have Spell Pierce in hand. So I don't like just jamming one of these Fractureds. That being said, how do I feel about cycling Fractured if I miss a land? So, I mean, I have 4 lands in my graveyard, 7 in play. I think... So 4 lands in my graveyard, 7 in play. So there's 15 lands left in my deck. So I'm 1 in 3 to hit the land. Alternately, I can just hold up drown. I think I like just holding up drown and then cycling on end step. They have no black mana, so their drown being turned off is nice. Although 2 drowns are in their graveyard, but I feel like they were sort of telegraphing a drown earlier. Maybe not. Sheldock Isle is fine. Does take another card out of their deck. So if I can cycle 1 Fractured and then use the other, we are just good. Okay, we draw Polluted Delta. That's fantastic. That gets us almost all the way there. So that's 6. And then we can fetch. And we can get Swamp. So that'll put them to 2. And now we can cycle this Fractured Sanity. And hold up drown in the lock. So we get there in the Mill Mirror. Definitely a kind of interesting and maybe even a little bit crazy match. I think largely this just came down to being on the play. Although in game 3, I think maybe we would have had it even if we weren't on the play, just because our opponent didn't really have any crabs and we had crabs. And crabs are super important here. Alright, so on to match number 2. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so in match number 2, we have a pretty decent hand. We've got crab, and then we've got some interaction. I'm definitely going to keep this. We do need to hit some more of the big mill spells, but ooh, Amulet Titan, that is a good sign for us. Although our turn 1 hand is really not that great here, or our game 1 hand. So we're going to shock this in, save the fetch lands for after Crab. Hopefully we get a mill 6 hold up drown on turn 2, and if there's something we can surgical, like a Titan, all the better. They've got double Amulet. That's definitely scary. And they could just kill us here. That would be unfortunate. So they play Grazer. I'm a little worried. Definitely a little worried. Looks like they might actually have it. Yeah, so I mean, they had the turn 2. That's crazy. Yeah, if we get one more turn there, we're just in okay shape, but I mean, can't really stop them on turn 1. Turn 2, yes, but not turn 1. Although their handwear is already in play. So, this is interesting. Oh, they're copying the Titan. Sure. And they can get Masuva. Yes, they're going to copy the Titan, and then Vesuva Red Land, Hanweir. It's definitely a choice. Yeah. They pick up the Hanweir, but now they need to replay the Hanweir. So, do they have a second haste land, or do they... I mean, I guess the thing is, we're not overcoming this board state regardless. So maybe it doesn't matter if they haste them, but I think they could have actually killed us with haste here. Unless they're still going to, because again, either second haste land or they have like a Grazer to replay the Hanweir or something. Okay, they get Radiant Fountain, Urza's Saga, so they are going for the ability to play. Yeah, so they'll have 2 Titans here. We can kill one with Drown next turn, but that's not going to be enough. Maybe we can get to a point where there's really not the best lands that they can fetch. And if we like surgical out the Titans and we like draw Atasha's, I mean, we get to try, I guess, but oh no, they do have the haste. But then why didn't they? I feel like they've made some weird choices. See, they could have definitely hasted these. So, I mean, we will play what we can. I think we're certainly dead. So if I kill this fetch, kill this Titan, surgical the Titans, there's just the token Titan left. Or I surgical before I fetch, but then this Titan ends up in the graveyard. But it's not like Amulet can really do anything with its graveyard. Alright, so we'll go to 16. We can take a look at their list at least. So they do have an Elish Norn. They have Valakut. Their hand is just 2 lands. You can get like T-West, Simic Growth, Transmute for a Pact. Could do something like that. With their 1 attacker. But even if they get a pact, what are they doing with it? I mean, they can get Dryad, but it still isn't really enough on its own. They can transmute for... Oh, Kessig Wolfrun. Kessig Wolfrun probably gets us. And I can't hold up... Yeah, I mean... That's not great. Basically, I could let them get extra lands and then kill whichever one... No, but then they can just Kessig Wolfrun both. I guess I can try to mill the Kessig Wolfrun is what I can try here. So I'll get an island. Mill them 3 more. And we don't hit it. I think we're almost certainly dead. But we'll see what they do. They do have 6 in their yard. So are they transforming battlements, maybe? Feels like it. Definitely feels like it. Unless they're making a... Oh, they're making a saga. Okay, sure. And they've got another amulet for the triple amulet. And they're hasting the construct. Yes. And we can kill one of these. We're certainly dead, but let's see what they get as far as lands. Just a little bit of information maybe about how they play or something like that. They do get Kessig Wolfrun, and yeah. Okay, so we'll scoop to that. So, I mean, we played just a couple turns, A, to get some information on their deck list, and B, because technically, if they messed up, we had chances. But it was effectively not real chances. Yeah, I'm going to bring in a lot of these. The surgicals and the extirpates can hit like a pact or titan. Fatal push is definitely a little less relevant. Yes, it can kill a dryad, but I don't like it that much overall. Counterspell is kind of whatever. I can trim a visions. They search their deck, so I'll leave the traps. Probably trim a glimpse. That's just, well, I'm looking to fast surgical or extirpate. Glimpse is pretty good. Bridge, they do have the ability to tutor up hate for it. Maybe that's too clunky to be messing around with, and I just don't really need to worry about it. They do have endurance, so I do need some of these. What don't I need? Jace is a little slow, so maybe. Maybe we can cut. I mean, the counter spells are like okay. Yeah, maybe I don't need all 4. Maybe I'll bring like the 2 soul guides and... Oh no, I'll bring 2 Niles, 1 soul guide. Cut a glimpse. And we could cut 1 more visions, maybe. This matchup isn't really hugely about visions. Honestly, we maybe even cut the visions over the glimpse and go like this. Yeah, alright, I like this. Okay, so we have Crab, we have lands, we have double Tashas. I'm going to keep this. Amulet's average CMC is pretty low. And we do have Counterspell to hold up for interaction. We do need to hit a 3rd land, but if we do, then we're just kind of in business. The mulligan to 4. So that's something. And they keep 4. Okay. So we'll lead on a Ruin Crab. And let's see what they play. They've got Boseiju into an Amulet. All right. So we do pick up Field of Ruin, which is definitely nice. The question here is, do we need to hold up Counterspell? I don't think they have the turn 2 off of 3 cards. So I am going to go ahead and play this other crab. Well, off of them all to 4, I mean overall, but... Alright, so there is a Titan in the graveyard if we can find a... if we can find a Surgical. Although we don't have black mana right now. We play Saga. And then they pass. Pick up Field of Ruin, which is definitely nice. We have definitely a bit of a debate in that, do we Tasha's here? Or do we... Yeah, I think I am going to Tasha's here. Just make it... And then, because, yeah, I mean, are they going to kill me next turn? I think not likely. We get a Elish Norn, we get the Mirror Pool, we get Vesuva, get another Titan. Elish Norn is upping the CMC. Notably, we do not get a, what's it called, a Endurance. That's a little unfortunate. Like our best draw at the moment. Not sure. Probably do need to be holding up this counterspell somewhat soonish. They have a Crumbling Vestige, so this gets them to 4 mana. The question is, what do they do with it? Razor? Oh, the Ring. Okay, that's fine. So Tasha's can go through the Ring. You could also think about potentially holding up Counterspell. You could also field them off of some of their land. We hit Surgical, which is very nice. So I can go ahead and Surgical Titan. Alternately, I could Surgical... So alternately, I could try to flip some more to maybe Surgical and Endurance. Alternately, I could Surgical Pact. There are 2 Pact in the yard. There's also 2 Titan in the yard. If I go for the Surgical now, it gives me information about whether I need to hold up Counterspell or whether I can just play this Tasha's. So I think it's definitely right to go for the Surgical now. Just a question of what we Surgical. I think we're going to go for... I think we're going to go for Titan, because it will also reduce the CMC for Tasha's. We can actually count the CMC left in their deck, and maybe we can just one-shot them with Tasha's here. If they go for an Endurance, then we do have the ability to counterspell if needed. Okay, so their hand is Dryad, Gruul Turf, One Ring. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 24, 25, 26, 27. Oh, they have Generous Ensign. Okay. So Tasha's is going to be like okay, but not amazing. They've got Dryad, they've got Gruul Turf, they've got One Ring. They've got the Titans gone. Play the field. Like I said, there's 1 Endurance. We do have to mill ourselves with the crab, but the Ruin Crab does mill them. We hit a Generous Ent, so that's something. And I think... thinking about if I want to... I think I'm just going to hold up the field. And, well, and Counterspell. I can't use both at once, but if they do something I need to counterspell, I can counterspell. Otherwise, I can field. And I can try to look to like snipe the end of their turn, or whatever their most important play is with the counterspell. So they're making a construct. That's fine. Not that scared. Game should be over before this is relevant. If they go for a bounce land, now I can field the bounce land. So I can, yeah, so I'm going to field this bounce land, and I feel like they're not going to be able to play much else this turn. We can hold up Counterspell after this. So generous, okay, so we got the Elshnorn, we got another generous Ent, so 2 Ents and the Elshnorn down, and a Dryad. I think it's likely that Tasha's will just kill them. They pick up their Boseiju. But what are they going to play? Dismember? They're dismembering a crab. So that is another 3 CMC that's not in their deck. I think I'm okay with that. I think we're kind of banking on this Tasha's. We draw another land, I'm relatively okay with that, because then we get to keep the Tasha's up. But yeah, I think I'm just going to jam this Tasha's. I think it kills them. Yep. And we'd get the Endurance. And we win. Okay, so, you know, Amulet is a good matchup, so that is definitely to our benefit. But at the same time, they can definitely get us. So it's good that we were able to string together what we needed. With only 1 Endurance, I mean, they can pact for it, certainly. I'm not as interested in all of these Graveyard Exile effects. Part of what we need to do is we need to like disrupt their ability to effectively combo by taking out their Titans and some of their other combo pieces. So overall, as the hibernation, if they've gotten the Titans in play, the hibernation is not really that good. So maybe I'll just cut the hibernation. And I think we're maybe just going to go like this. Jace is another mill spell, but I think we go like this. All right, so we've got Surgical, we've got Crab, we're on the draw. I mean, this hand has a lot of important pieces. We are a little bit vulnerable to them just like turn 2ing us, and we do need to draw another land. But I think I am going to keep this. They mulligan to 5, so that's a good start for us. Mulligan to 4, okay. I feel like they're trying to look for an extremely aggressive hand that can sort of race us. Because, like I said, this is a very bad matchup for them. So let's see what they've got. They kept a 4. They've got Crumbling Vestige. And they've got a turn 1 Amulet, yeah. We draw Drown, which can be good, but it's not. I mean, we really need a land. If I have to, I will cycle this Visions next turn trying to look for a land, but hopefully it doesn't come to that. I figure we have 2 draw steps. Let's see what else our opponent has. So there. Okay, so perfect. So we drew the land. So we have Delta. We can mill them. We hit Elishnorn, Amulet of Vigor, Explore. Okay. So I'm going to fetch. I'm going to get an island. Well, 3 more. Storm's Wrath. Okay. Fence Grid, sure. So I think again here I'm not too scared of them, so I'm going to glimpse and then try to hit them with a surgical on something relevant. So, okay, I mean, we still haven't hit a Titan or anything like that. So I'm just going to pass. I don't feel like I need to surgical any of these yet. I could think about surgical in the Saga. They didn't have a land last turn, though. I mean, if they draw the Saga here, that's like not that scary of a land. Question here is, what are they going for with the Sanctuary? Okay, so they're just putting the Sanctuary into play. Alright, so we are holding Drown up now if we want it. So we could hold Drown, cycle Sanity, end of turn, and then next turn Visions, almost certainly find another land, surgical as needed. I think I like that play. So they've got replaying this Vestige. They could certainly have Dryad or something like that. If they just like play Dryad though, I can kill it with this Drown if I need to. I have the One Ring. That's each opponent. Drown. Yeah, I'll go ahead and drown this. So let's see. Okay, we draw a land. Perfect. That's very good. That's what we need. So, we can play the Delta. Again, we're just trying to get the Titans out so that, you know, maybe our Tasha's gets a little bit better. I am going to fetch again here, this time again for an island so that we can Fractured Sanity if needed. Now, if they have Endurance in hand, that could potentially be bad for us. Yeah, so I think I'm a little... Am I interested in the Nile Sphere? Again, we don't hit a Titan, so their hand is definitely some interesting stuff. We could Visions and draw. We could also hold up the cycle on Sanity. I think I like Visions and draw. So we can Crab Visions, hold Nile. We're a little bit shields down, which I don't love. Maybe I surgical. I don't want to surgical something, just have information on what I need to do. They would have played Dryad if they had it. They have 3 lands in hand. They could have an Elish Norn. They had either 2 or 3. They could also have Pact. There's only 1 Pact there. I think I'm going to surgical Pact. Because I have 2 Titans and a Simic Growth in hand. So that is not enough mana on its own. In their deck, they have 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they have plenty of mana. Storm's Wrath is not really going to be relevant here. They have no red mana. Okay, 1 Elish Norn, 2 more Titans, 3 copies of the Ring, 3 Dryad. But no matter what land they draw next turn, they're not playing a Titan next turn. Because they can't get to 6. They have 5 mana, so I don't think it works. So I kind of like Spellbomb. And then the question is Crab or Visions. think it's... Is it Visions or is it Crab? It's actually tough. I think it might be Visions. If I draw like another Surgical, I can try to take something else out, maybe. Alright. So, yeah, we'll pass here. I mean, I don't really... They can't get a Titan to play this next turn. And so I think we're in pretty good shape. Pact removes, I mean, they could naturally draw Endurance, but now we have the Spellbomb in play, so Endurance isn't really that much of a threat. They draw Boseiju, so the next turn they're threatening Titan, but that's just going to be too slow. So now I can play a Crab. And then I can play a Field of Ruin. I can mill 6 more cards while holding up Counterspell and also threatening to Field of Ruin. That's pretty good. So we'll pass the rest of this turn. And, I mean, we could field like one of their double lands. It's just, we kind of have it no matter what happens here. So I'm inclined to just kind of let them play their Simic Growth Titan and then just counter the Titan. Okay, they drew Gruul Turf, so that means we know their land for the turn. So we especially know that there's nothing that can threaten us here. Alright, so we're just going to counterspell this, nice and easy. So they do have one more Titan in hand. We do have a Tasha's, which is pretty nice. We draw another Field of Ruin, so we can hit them for another 6. Take out the Selesnya Sanctuary. We can go get another island. Do they have a forest? Okay, they do. Hit another Generous End. We've only hit one Titan. We have one Titan in hand. So we could just Tasha's here. I think I'm just going to Tasha's here. I think it will not kill them, but it will put them so low that even if they play a Titan, which I'm not sure how they're going to because they have 2 bounce lands and a Titan in play, they still won't be able to kill us with it. Okay, yeah. That was a bad, very bad Tasha's. Has their Endurance been accounted for yet? Not that I can see. That is actually potentially an angle that they can get us if they, like, kill our Nihil Spellbomb and then Endurance in response. I should have actually just thought about Nihil Spellbombing there while they were tapped out just to insulate against that. Because it's not like I'm really going to need it against the last 15 cards here. So they have Gruul Turf. That'll put them up to 5 mana. But what are they doing with 5 mana? Oh, they're bringing the Boseiju back to destroy my Nihil. They drew the Endurance. They actually do get to make that play. Oh, they're Endurancing our Field of Ruin. That's interesting. So, I mean, we can get an Undercity Sewers. We could have gotten untapped land too. I don't particularly feel like I need to necessarily draw from this Nihil, so it's kind of just, again, it's kind of embarrassment of riches. Unless they specifically had Endurance there, and even then we're still in excellent shape. So we're just kind of beating up on Titan. They have 9 cards left, so we can play Field of Ruin and just kind of kill them, and that's it. That's the match. So we get the second round against Titan, Pretty good matchup. Yes, they did mull for both post-sideboard games, but they were specifically looking for a very fast racing hand because they know they need to race in this matchup. So that's not like a natural they got unlucky mull to 4. It's like they were mulling for what their chance to win the matchup was. Alright, so round 3, let's see how it goes. So we win the die roll for round number 3, but we have an unkeepable 7 with no lands, so we're going to have to mulligan that. This is definitely better. I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to ship this Visions of Beyond. I think it's maybe not, it's a little early for it. I feel like I don't want to just have to cycle that. And I'll leave Flooded Strand, and we'll look to fetch a sewer. I know this is burning the fetch land. Well, maybe I don't fetch the sewer. Oh, Heritage Druid. Okay. So I am going to fetch the sewer, and then I'm going to push on our turn, probably. Glimpse is... it's okay. I'll keep it. I'm not excited about it, but it could be worse. Drown is really not at its best yet. Although with 2 in hand, we can potentially drown a 2-drop now, which could be good. Elvish War Master. Let's say battlefield. Yep. Okay, so we probably are going to want to kill this. So the main thing against Elves is just keeping a critical mass of them off the board. So I'm totally into just killing everything we possibly can and trying to make it so that they don't have any Elves in play. They also just kind of look like a blue-black control deck at the moment, so maybe that could be good for us. We'll see. Dwindon's Elite. That is, I feel like, one of the less scary elves. Especially when they've basically played Elf Grizzly Bears here. But they didn't play a 3rd land, so they certainly do have basics. But yeah, they didn't have another one there. So we could just go for a Fractured Sanity here, or we could think about cycling this Fractured Sanity and playing the Glimpse. I think I do want to cycle the Fractured Sanity, just because I feel like I need some more interaction, probably. I'm a little worried about their potential speed here. Like if they just play something that kills us. Okay, so I mean they attack with the Dwindon's Elite. It's 3 damage. Boro is not what we needed. We did have to draw past it, which we have done. So I mean I will play another field. We can end step a trap here if we really wanted to. Or we could field them and then trap. Question is going to be how many lands do they have? The other thing is, do I want to... I think I don't want to field, and just in case I draw like a crab, I want to be able to save some landfall triggers. So let's see what they've got here. Archdruid. Yep, Archdruid. They don't have the ability to pay to draw the card. They do have some power here. They're hitting us for 6, so we're at 10. So depending on what they have in hand, we could definitely just be dead next turn. I'm gonna hard cast and actually no, I'm just gonna yeah, they searched. So we have Archive Trap. And let's see what we've got. That's not it. Definitely not it. So I mean we can on their draw step, field, and hope that they don't have something relevant here. Yeah, so we can. So we'll hit their stomping grounds. I think it's not very likely that they don't just kill us here, but we'll try. Oh, they miss. Okay, I mean, that's a chance. We can hit the Ziggurat or the Temple Garden. We'll take out the Temple Garden. So this means that they have probably 2 forests in their deck. So I mean, this Archdruid does make some mana, but then they can't attack with the Archdruid, so maybe we don't die here. This does mean that we're just in a worse spot if we draw Crab. We basically have to draw... I'm not even sure what Millspell gets us here. Okay, so they're hitting us for 8. We go down to 2. Maybe Visions into something. Jace into something could also do it. Trap is not going to do it. Yeah, Trap is not going to do it. So yeah, that's just a little too late. And we'll pass. Maybe they do something crazy, but oh, they're not going to. Maybe they like try to combo off and then we hit them once they get a little bit lower. Alright. Alright, so we're going to just trap them for information here. See what their deck list is specifically. See, okay, Realm Walker. Fierce Empath. Alright, this looks like Zuri, okay. Chord, so Chord for Endurance is almost certainly something we're going to have to account for. Okay. Alright. So they get us in game number 1 here. We just kind of didn't draw enough relevant cards. We will bring in the Bridge. They are likely to have Endurance. I'll bring those in. Surgical is not really where we need to be. They are pretty low CMC, so Tasha's can be good. Hibernation against the green creatures I'll take. Crypt Incursion will buy us approximately 1,000,000 years, so I like that. Extinction Event is not a reliable enough board wipe, I don't think. Counterspell is not really where we need to be. Jace is like okay, but maybe a little slow. Glimpse is maybe a little not where we need to be. Yeah, I don't know if we need Glimpse. Bridge, Trap, Drown, Crab, Visions, Push, that's all good. Sanity is... I don't want to cut too many mill spells, so I think I don't want to cut Sanity. Maybe we're going to go 3 on these until we see like what amount of endurances they're running. Could also maybe go down to 2 Visions, I guess, because this isn't that much a grindy matchup. Although it could stall out with Bridge. Alright, so double push Hedron Crab is great. That's exactly what we like to see. So we can get the mill going while killing some of their early plays. Trap is decent, get some more mill going. I mean, we do need to find a little bit of follow-up, but I think this hand is certainly a hand that can get there. Spot removal for their first couple things. Hopefully we draw into, like, I don't know, Tasha's or something. Sewers will help with the Scry. I can't really play it on turn 1 because I need to lead on this Crab. And I can't really play it on turn 2 because I'm probably going to need to push their turn 1 play. But if they don't do anything relevant on turn 1, then I will play it on turn 2. I'm not expecting removal out of them, but they could, in theory, have like Bolt or something. They seem to be Naya Elves. So we didn't see any like Shaman of the Pack or anything. I think the green-black elves feel like they would be more likely to play removal. And Ziggurat means that it's just going to be a creature. So Heritage Druid. Alright. So we absolutely do not allow the Heritage Druid to live. However, they don't actually have enough lands in, or enough elves in play at the moment. But I think I don't want to... Yeah, I think I just don't want to let that live. I'm fetching Water Grave here. Hit 3 more. Flip Endurance, flip a Azuri. So again, question is going to be how many Endurances they play. Let's see what they've got. It is Elvish War Master. Alright, so we're going to trap them in response. Okay, we take out a bunch of stuff that kind of doesn't matter. Draw Tasha's. So that is decent. I think I would like to probably kill this War Master. Although I could just go fetch land Tasha's. I mean, maybe they have an Endurance in hand, and then that's pretty bad for us. It's a little tough. A little tough. All right, I think I do just want to kill this, and I think I'm going to play the Delta. Make sure I sort of get the maximum mill out of that. Look like I'm holding up a counterspell or a drown or something. Would have been cool if I had the sewers in my deck so that I could then fetch it, but alas, I don't. Got double Nettle Sentinel, all of the untapping. So we can get, yeah, we'll get an island here. Okay, still no other endurance. The question is definitely how many endurance do they have? And we're going to hit them with a Tasha's here. Okay, that did not really hit enough. Board, Archdruid, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh yeah, Choke. Choke is brutal. Alright. So... yeah, we'll pass here. They've got 9 cards. I'm hopeful it's just 1 endurance, because that's the real thing. We only see 1 endurance so far. So if they fetch, I will fetch in response and try to mill out their... yeah, I'm not going to block this. I'll try to mill out any remaining lands that they might have. What do they have? Dwinen's Elite. That's not too scary. What are they doing? Are they courting? Courting for 1. Okay, I'll mill there, maybe try and see if we can get rid of something of theirs. What are they even going to try and hit here? I don't know. Flipped a Nettle and a Heritage Druid. I mean, alright, let's see what they can get. I mean, they might have a 1-drop left. They have a Mystic. Probably the only choice. This is probably not going to make mana. Well, they do. They have a land. Well, they don't. Okay, so they just used it as a shuffle. Hibernation. Hibernation is definitely interesting. We've got sewers. And we're going to mill them. All right. So they didn't have the endurance. So it looks like they maybe do only have one endurance. They do have a lot of pretty hateful cards like Choke and stuff like that. Choke. Yeah. Definitely not something I want to allow. Not 100% sure that I can avoid that fully. Surgical on a creature deck I don't like that much. Counterspell, maybe. Visions. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know. Crypt Incursion should be okay. Alright, I think I'll keep this. I'm definitely a little bit worried about Choke. The play is just counter it or hope they don't draw it, though. This hand is a little bit slow, but it has power. I'm going to keep. It doesn't have crab. It doesn't have removal, but it does have a lot of mill. We also have, I mean, we have trap on like turn 1. I have a Llanowar Elves. We can lead on a Shelldock. And we can put we'll put a Ruin Crab underneath in case we need that last extra little bit. I actually think in hindsight, maybe I should have. I'm not liking this hand that much in hindsight. I'm a little worried they're just going to get out onto the board too fast. I'm also not liking Bridge that much in hindsight. Yeah, don't love some of this. So we can play a land, cycle Sanity. I guess that's our play. That feels awful. I'm going to save the Delta in case there's any crab, although it does reveal that we don't have black mana, which I don't like. Or don't have like a, yeah, black mana to play a black spell. I got 3, yeah. Archdruid, sure. It doesn't have haste, so that's something at least. Okay, so they're attacking with Sentinel. Maybe playing another 1-drop. Hibernation would be nice here. We will definitely cycle the Sanity. I've got another 3 for an Azuri, okay. Yes, I mean, the nice thing is that they do just have the 1 land, but, I mean, Hibernation is only a 1 of, so what are the odds? Not high. Do draw Trap, but they have not searched this turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We are certainly dead here. I guess if they tap and use Azuri, yeah, we're just completely dead. What even is our out? Nothing, probably. Maybe had we... No, that doesn't work. They double trap visions and like then we counter something. Alright, I'm gonna just hope that they like draw a fetch land and fetch and have this represent interaction. I should have played the Delta to give myself outs of like drawing a push or something, maybe. They're just activating Azuri and they're gonna attack us though. And this will be 5, 11, 16, 21, 26. Yeah, we're mega dead. Yeah, I think I should not have kept this hand in hindsight. It was just too slow. That's my mistake. Yeah, this is on me. We should have maybe had a better shot at this. Not to say we would have guaranteed 1, but I think we had a chance. Alright, so Twins Elite, sure. Okay. Cycle that. Alright, we're dead. Alright. Yeah, that one's on me. Alright, so let's go to round number 4. Okay, so we have a very nice hand here if we can draw a second land. We've got traps, we've got crabs, and we've got counterspell. Double trap is basically just something you always keep. We are on the draw, so we do have better odds of drawing that second land. I think even on the play I would keep this because the upside just feels pretty high. So we have Misty. We can fetch an island. I'm going to go for the crab just because I have so many crabs that if they kill one, they kill one. Stern Scolding? Okay, yeah. So it's Murktide probably. Our opponent did mull to 6, so that is to our advantage. We do have a nice counter spell lined up also. They have Bauble. They look at their own top card. And are they going to fetch is the million-dollar question, and they do. This is a slightly awkward spot in that if they are holding up Counterspell, they can counter one of our traps. But that does mean that our crab is going to get to resolve and do something, so I'm going to trap here. If Spell Pierce, okay. I'm going to go for another trap. We do have to think about if they have a Murktide if we let the second trap happen. Like, do we need to hold up this delta to hold up counters, or do we need to hold up this counter spell? Maybe. I think I am worried enough about a Murktide that I am going to hold up this counter spell. And then next turn I can potentially crab delta and play it just a little bit slower. Alright, so we will play a crab here. Maybe they counter it. We'll see. And I'm actually going to play this Watery Grave. Because if this crab lives, and I'm not certain that it's going to, but it could. If it lives, I want to be able to get maximum value off the second crab. And if not, it's kind of the same thing either way. They have 4, I don't know. Play tap Steam Vents. Okay, so now that they passed there, I like our position a decent amount. So we have crab number 2. Question is, do they kill crab number 1 in response? They might. I will play the delta here. Probably regardless of whether they do or don't, and then I'm looking at hitting something under this Shelldock to try to close out the game. Yeah, I think I'm just going to allow that to happen. I'll play this delta. We can also surveil. I'm going to fetch now while I think they maybe don't have much removal. Oh, they do have removal. Okay, so I'm gonna, and then I can fetch again. Get an island. So we're holding up Counterspell. Again, we're holding up Counterspell. They have 1 card. This one will get Sewers. Glimpse is fine. That takes me into Shelldock range. So next turn I can Glimpse, play Shelldock, continue holding up this Counterspell, and hopefully whatever I find off Shelldock kills them. Still no Murktide, so that's kind of interesting. So let's see what they've got. There's a Murktide in the graveyard. 16 cards left in the deck. With Shelldock, we hit. I'll take Visions. So that should hopefully find us the remaining bit of gas. What are they going for? No. They do still have fetchable lands. That's good to know. Well, I mean, it doesn't really do anything for us at this point, but overall, I mean, when we see their deck anyway, whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, so we're gonna draw with this Shelldock. See if we can draw something that kills them. Surgical. Okay. So I can play a crab. They have subtlety. Hard casting subtlety. So if I counter this, I surgical Murktides. Right, let me surgical Murktides first in order to get a little bit of information about what they could have. And then I can decide whether I'm countering this. They have a heat in hand. They certainly have delirium. 2 counterspells. DRC, Ragavan. They're only on 3 Murktide. Okay, so I think given that they have heat, I think I do actually like countering this. And they do get to line up this heat nicely, but this reduces clock on us. And they only have a few threats left in their deck. Yeah, okay, so they get to heat us. Mill 3 more. We hit the Ragavan, so the only threat they have left in their deck is 1 DRC. The iteration. They're super quick to cast that, but I mean, yeah, I mean their play is just to. But this is going to exile a card and draw a card, so I don't know that this is going to do it for them. And if they don't find DRC with this, they're almost dead there. But we can see what we draw. Our Visions was really not the best there. Was more concerned about a big Murktide, which could like one-shot us. So, you know, the main point of countering that subtlety was to keep them off of a clock. So if they subtlety, then okay, sure, we get our crab back, but then play the crab, we kind of get the same effect with the crab next turn, or we bottom the crab, but then they just have a subtlety in play. So I do definitely agree with countering that. Ooh, they're going. Do they even have enough cards in their deck at this point? So let's say this is going to take them down to 4 cards. Even if they find DRC off of this, I guess there's 1 bolt. Is there 1 bolt left? 1, 2. Maybe there's 2 bolts left. Okay, so maybe they could get us with like DRC plus bolts. So we do kind of need to find something, but we probably have like a turn. So they do have delirium. If we can kill this DRC, we're just fine. So any mill spell. Crab is also good. We're not dead in 1 turn here. I'm just gonna play this kind of because why not? I could field off of a Steam Vents here. And just, yeah, I'm going to field off of Steam Vents here. Crab still kills them. Or Spire Bluff, whatever. We'll get a swamp. They're not going to find anything. And so we're going to take 9 here, and we're going to go to 4. Well, assuming that they have the 2 bolts. But basically we just need to draw non-lands. This can race us if we draw stone nothing. That's bold. And they have actual counterspell left. They might have actual counterspell left. Actually, we could lose this. But they're down to 2 cards. They surveilled? I don't know that they now have enough damage to kill. They do. They do. On the turn, they draw down to 0. So they certainly have 2 bolts left. Drown and Lock is a good pickup. Lets us kill this DRC. And, I mean, they have Counterspell. Yeah. 1, 2. Do I go for it now? Yeah, I mean, there's a chance something is still in their deck. I'm just going to go for it now. They probably have Counterspell. Yes, they do. All right. But I have to get through that anyway, so, I mean, I'm not dead next turn. They hit me to 1. Well, DRC hits me to 7, and then they have 2 bolts. So next turn, they're going to draw and go to... Now, the question is, do they have 1 more counterspell? They might. I guess, do they play all 4? I don't know. We're going to find out. Or is it the last one in their deck? Oh man, they have it. Oh, that's brutal. Now, yeah, I couldn't have fielded first because I need the land drop to kill them. Is there anything I can do with field here? So if I field... Oh, they have 1 bolt in hand, 1 card in their deck. No, they have 2 cards in hand. So, I mean, maybe I can just try to use that before they can, I don't know, do something with it, but they're just going to bolt me. Oh, they didn't end step the bolt, though. Did they not have... Either they weren't thinking about that, or they don't actually play the 4 bolts. Or I'm just missing a bolt. Why would they not play 4 bolts, though? Oh wait, did they exile things to... No. They played what they exiled. I'm not sure what happened there. I thought we were dead. I thought they would have end step bolted, untapped, bolt us. Okay, I mean, I'll take it. So Tasha's can actually be good against them, assuming that we can exile the Murktides. So I am going to bring that in. Removal is good. Soul Guides and stuff I don't need as much. Extinction Event is not good when they have a bunch of like 1-drops that are part of the issue. Jace is a little slow. Glimpse is like okay, but well, maybe I counter... Yeah, I don't know if I need all the surgicals. Maybe we cut some of the surgicals and we go, well, maybe like that. We cut like a sanity. Well, it's uncounterable though, which is nice. Maybe we cut a glimpse. Then we go like this. And our goal is to surgical out the Murktides and then Tasha's them. Because their CMC is really low other than Murktide specifically. They do only have 3 Murktides, so like Atasha's can still get a lot of cards too. but it is definitely luck dependent as to like when you hit the Murktides. So up a game against Murktide, which is good. Crypt Incursion for life, I think, is not necessarily worth it. The rest of this I feel pretty okay about. I'm kind of liking these counter spells so far. That was just kind of a last minute addition, but I feel like they're actually kind of pulling their weight. Ooh, this hand. This hand could be good if we like draw running lands, but I think it's just a little bit too risky as is. So we're gonna have to mull this. Yeah, like if I knew that I was gonna draw a fetch land or a water grave on turn 1, and then I can turn 1 crab, turn 2 crab, and then I draw like another land. This could be very good, but there's just too high of a chance that we don't get to play. This will definitely keep. I'm gonna ship the well, it's either land or Tasha's. It actually might be the land. Well, no. So there's a pretty high chance we draw another land. I think there's a high enough chance that we draw another land that I'm willing to ship the land. So they're leading on Bauble, and they're looking before they play their land, which suggests they have both a fetch land and a non-fetch land, and they're sort of deciding which one to play for turn to use it as a pseudo scry. So our turn 1 is looking to probably be Odoar Crab. If they play a Ragavan, I will have to like fetch push the Ragavan. Or even a DRC, I would be interested in fetch pushing. But turn 1 preordain means that we will turn 1 crab. And I think I'm not going to trap them here. I'll have opportunities to later. I don't want to let them get a turn 2 Murktide when I don't have an answer to it. Double Tasha's is not where we want to be. This crab may just die. That would be unfortunate. It does. Could have thought about saving that for a turn. Maybe should have. Just held it back. So Flooded Strand, we can fetch the Scry land maybe. See what they do, or if I need to push something, I can. We'll see what they play. So they're thinking. They're definitely thinking. I mean, if we can get a surgical or an extirpate here, I do kind of feel okay. Play a DRC. Here I can push, kill the DRC. So I'm going to trap just in case, like if they spell pierce, then I can pay for it. If they counter spell, then I just have the clean kill on the DRC. I realize I don't fully have an answer for the Murktide yet. By fully, I mean at all, but it's a risk I'm willing to take at this point. That felt a little bit like Spell Pierce. Actually, yeah, I should have thought about that more. Now I think I'm priced into this play. But that felt like Spell Pierce, that sort of pause and then let it go. Yeah. Yeah. I should have fetched my top land and then played field and then done it on their turn. I mean, we do probably get to resolve Tasha's here, but Tasha's can be a little bit hit or miss if they have Murktides. We did get rid of one Murktide so far, though. They do have Blood Moon in their deck, which is worth noting. We hit 20 cards, which is pretty good, so they're down to 13. We hit a Murktide, but then everything else was pretty low. It would have been nice if we could have fetched basic swamp, but we only had a flooded strand there. Although, in hindsight, now that we have this fractured sanity, maybe basic swamp is not the way to go. We'll see what our opponent plays. They've got a tapped Thundering Falls. Feels like they might have a Murktide in hand, but if they play a Murktide, they only have 1 mana up. What's the counterspell situation? So 2 counterspells gone, 2 left in their deck. They really just have counterspells at the bottom of their deck, don't they? What is this? Magus of the Moon. Okay, I mean that's rough. We need to draw Island. Swamp is not as good as Island here. It does potentially give us an angle to... No, it doesn't. It still doesn't. Yeah, that's rough. They hit us for 5 down to 9. I think we're just dead here. I don't think we can draw things quickly enough. I think it had to be Island there. Fatal Push can kill a DRC, but that just slows the clock. That doesn't end the clock, and I can't make a fetch happen in order to kill this without... Yeah, this is not looking good. It is worth noting that my artifacts do shrink DRC, but I don't think it's worth bringing them in for that purpose. Although it does potentially let us eat the graveyard to stop like a Murktide. I'll try a push on one of these, but it's either not going to resolve or... I mean, I don't really know what I can even draw at this point. Yeah, it needed to be like Island on the first turn and like cycle Fractured Sanity into either like another Fractured Sanity to cycle or a Swamp and... Oh, alright, so they get it with Magus. Okay, I'm going to bring in the Nihils to potentially try to shut down Murktide or turn off DRC. Okay, we can maybe... No, I don't know if I want to cut a Sanity. Don't really want to cut a Visions. Don't really want to cut the Glimpse. Maybe I cut the Glimpse. Well, I do just need to kind of be faster. Maybe it's 1 Surgical. And Sanity is good for the uncounterable. Glimpse can be fast. Maybe it's the Glimpse. Again, we get something unkeepable. Just 1 land. It's a colorless one. This is not good. This is not exciting. I think it's probably better than a 5, though. I ship, like, Tasha's probably have a Fatal Push. It's not good. This is bad. Not liking our chances here. Our opponent has also mulliganed to 6, which is good for us. I can, like, capitalize on some of these visions, that's okay. But other than that... a little concerned. So sewers on turn 1. We can hopefully try and find another land with this, which we do, and we'll leave that on top. We can push whatever their turn 1 play is, which is nice for us. Probably end up cycling a Visions. Okay. So they don't have a turn 1 creature. So I'm okay with that. Do need to find a way to get some lands into the graveyard. But, you know, again, we can cycle these visions. Or not lands, get some cards into the graveyard. I would like to be able to cash in one of these for card advantage. At least one is going to get cycled here, though. If they fetch, then I will push in response. They're thinking about whether they're going to spell pierce this. And I'll push in response to the fetch because that way they don't get the surveil trigger. Okay. So now that's a little bit more interesting because I could... If they counter it, then I have drown. I can just like untap and drown it. Yeah, I'm okay with that. We do have a basic, notably, which is nice for Magus. Oh, they let it happen. Okay. Okay, we draw trap. That is definitely interesting. I'm into just passing here. We can hold up drown, and we will trap them if they fetch. So hold up drown. We can maybe surgical and Murktide if we hit one off of trap. And maybe we can get to the point where we can cash in this visions. Oh, we clicked through our turn too fast. That's our bad. That's definitely our bad. So here, I think again I'm going to cycle visions. Maybe would like to hit a land. Push is okay. I mean, we are holding up drown, but it's not the good form of holding up drown. It's drown, but by that I mean we have 2 cards in our graveyard, so drown's really not at its best. I will go for a counter on this though. Are they gonna pierce it? They might. Yeah, okay, it looks... Oh, they're flustering. Okay. But I'm okay with them flustering this. This does get more cards into their graveyard. And hopefully they play a fetch land. I mean, we should have trapped them. We did just sort of click through that when we absolutely should not have clicked through that. Excuse me. They hit an island. They're really avoiding the lands right now. Okay, so I mean it's time to hold up drown. Hope they play a fetch land. End step cycle sanity. If nothing else happens. We do have fatal push if they have like a small creature. We will go for the cycle here. They may crack the strand in order to fetch in a situation where we don't have mana up in order to what am I saying? We don't have the ability to defend our archive trap, but they didn't do it. So we have a Borrow. We have Fatal Push on the DRC. We are holding up Counterspell, which is nice. Basically, our game plan this game is to resolve this trap and then surgical their Murktides and then kill them with Tasha's on the next turn. Okay, so this we're going to let happen. So after it resolves, we do get to go again. We will let them surveil. And we're not going to pass out of this turn. Why? No, what? Excuse me? We should have gotten priority back after that. That's definitely just bugged. It should have given us priority there. Ledger Shredder. I think we were going to let that go. I don't want to expose ourselves to like a Magus or something like that. Why? Oh, because we don't have a stop on our turn. That's why. Oh, that's annoying. I thought it gave us priority after interactions were happening anyway, though. It's a little bit weird. Like, even if you don't have a stop there, shouldn't it give you priority after? So we will go for the counter spell here. And we'll do it before the Ledger Shredder gets to loot. So we will get to trap them here. Presumably they're going to counter our counter spell with their counter spell. Yes, okay. So I am going to... Alright, so that can happen. Now I'm going to trap them. They do get to connive again, but... And that's looting of, looting of things that they're doing. Alright, so the Murktide is going to resolve. We do get to surgical their other Murktides here, though, and maybe just untap and kill them with Tasha's, depending on the CMC left in their deck. So the CMC left in their deck is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, annoyingly. They have a Stern Scolding in hand. Okay. I mean, they would only hit us for 8. Let's see what we draw. Water Grave. Not the most inspiring of draws. Is this... It's when it leaves your graveyard. So Tasha's does not kill this. So if I Tasha's, take the hit. Start Scolding. Okay, I think I do just like killing the Murktide here. Because this way, if they have the counter for the Tasha's, I'm still in the game because the clock is so slow. But if the other way, if I Tasha's now and then kill the Murktide and they have the counter, we could just die. Ledger Shredder hits us, okay. So, I mean, maybe they picked up a counter spell, but certainly no guarantee that they did. I am going to go for the Tasha's here. If they picked up the counter spell, they picked up the counter spell. Okay, so we put them down to 2 cards in their deck. Did not pick up the counter spell. Feels like maybe they got like a heat or a land or something like that. And we should just have this now. Note, I'm still holding this land in hand in case we like drew a... yeah, I mean, Ragavan, sure. You can't kill me fast enough here. And what was I saying? Yeah, in case we like draw a crab and that ends up being relevant or something. So they're dashing back to their hand. We untap. We draw. We can extirpate something just to see their hand. So what don't they have? Ragavan. This exile has 3rd Ragavan, so maybe they actually have the 4th Ragavan in their deck. So let's see if we can get the Ragavans maybe. Well, they don't. Actually, they're not going to have 4. I don't know. Let's just take it and see what their hand is, just to sure that this Fractured Sanity is going to happen and they don't have a Tidebinder that we somehow missed when we like looked at the deck. I don't know. All right. Yeah, so we get game or match number 4 here, and we're on to match number 5. And our hand in game number 5 here is pretty reasonable. I mean, we have removal, we have interaction, we have a crab to get things going, we have a surgical if we need it. We are on the draw, so this could be a little bit slow if we lead on the Shell Dock. Our opponent leads on Breeding Pool. Shocking in a Breeding Pool. That kind of smells like Living End. So I shouldn't need to interact on turn 1, so I'm okay playing this Shell Dock. And we hit 4 lands. Alright, let's put Noboro under there. I don't know why I picked a Boro, I just picked one. Doesn't really matter. Yep, yeah, so looking like Living End. So Living End can be a good matchup. I feel relatively okay against it usually. We do need to like counter and then surgical the Living End or something like that. They have their second land here. So here we can't really afford to play a crab because we need to hold up Drown. The nice thing about Drown is it does kind of counter the Living End no matter when they play it. They could force something through here if they had like Force of Negation plus a Violent Outburst. So they could get us. They definitely could. But, you know, that is a pretty specific mix of cards that they would need. Okay, so they cycled another Waker of Waves. They won't be able to do anything this turn. I'm actually going to leave the Strand untapped so that I can play the crab and then still hold up or still have the ability to force or drown in the lock after playing the crab. They're subtletying our crab. I'm relatively okay with that. Do I need the crab? I'll take it. It is a threat that's like easy to deploy, but it's gonna go away when we fetch. Depending on what they do. Okay, so they're forest cycling, so they're not going to be able to outburst or Living End this turn, which means end step I'm going to cycle this Fractured Sanity, I think. Try to find like another piece of interaction, maybe. Maybe if I can get a Living End into the graveyard, that would be good. I'm going to get my Water Grave just to have the maximum colors here, because life total isn't really that relevant in this matchup. Either I'm dead because they resolved a big Living End, or I'm not. There's kind of no in between. Okay, so we hit a Violent Outburst. And untap. We draw for the turn. We can Field of Ruin, and then cycle another Fractured Sanity while still holding up Drown in the Lock. Again, if I hit Living End, I think we're just okay. Alternately, I can surgical the Violent Outbursts on their turn. Well, I should have done that last turn if I was going to do. I could surgical Violent Outbursts and then still have Drown in the Lock available if they have the Shardless Agent. I can make that decision, though, after I see what I hit with Sanity. So, okay, so we hit a Living End here. We also hit a Force of Negation. So now we're in a spot to surgical the Living Ends and then defend our surgical with Drown in the Lock, which I like. Okay, and that'll do it. So I like Extirpate, because our plan is to take them off living ends. I do not like Fatal Push. I like Crypt Incursion. Tasha's is not great. I like the Graveyard Removal. Cut some more Tashas. Bridge is kind of whatever. Jace is a little bit slow, so I'll cut a Jace. And maybe I'll cut Visions, because that's what this matchup is really about. Ensnaring Bridge, if they're resolving a living end, something has probably gone wrong, so I'm not going to worry about Ensnaring Bridge. And by something has probably gone wrong, I mean something has definitely gone wrong. Okay, this hand is pretty good. I mean, we have some ways to eat the graveyard. We have a Surgical Extraction. We have a Counterspell. So we're just looking to have our crab live, hopefully. And then we can develop some of our interaction based on that. So we'll go, and again, we're not going to need to play any of these things on turn 2. So I don't mind just getting this crab into play to start. On the fetch land next turn, we can like fetch land, hold up Counterspell or something like that, or maybe we play the Soul Guide. I'm not sure what we're doing exactly yet. They're shocking in the Stomping Grounds. Do they have removal for the crab? Cycling Waker of Waves, that's totally fine. So, I mean, Force of Negation is pretty important to them right now. I think we honestly just are going to let this happen. We have like 4 different things that they need to worry about. I'd rather not surgical something subpar because of this. So, I mean, yeah, literally all 4 of these cards are bad for them. I'm not sure what they take. Okay, so they take the Soul Guide. And we pick up another piece of counter magic. Note that if we do hit a Force of Negation, ooh, we hit a living end. Alright, so we're going to target the living end and then defend it with our counter spell. aka also our Drowned in the Loch. And we win. Look at that. So we end up going 4-1 with Mill, and that was a pretty cool game. So let's hop back to the deck list for a little bit of some post-mortem. Okay, so this was the deck we just played for this Mill League. We ended up going 4-1. I liked several things about this list. I did like the 2 counterspells, sort of acting as copies 5 and 6 of Drown. A little bit more control, which was very nice. The idea behind wanting the counterspells was wanting additional ways to stop Scion of Draco, since Fatal Push can't and Drown in the Loch sort of can only very conditionally. So Counterspell for Scion on turn 2 was the thought process, but I ended up liking them just kind of overall. So that was something I thought worked pretty well. Other than that, the Tasha's Glimpse split felt reasonable. Tasha's is not always great, but is sometimes great. So kind of hedging with the Glimpse and then the other Tasha's in the board for those low CMC matchups where they just kind of win the game. So yeah, that's the list. I was pretty happy with this. I will, probably play some more Mill in the future. So if you're here for my usual combo content, definitely stay tuned. There will be more of that. If you are new here because you're interested in Mill, then there will be some of that at some point again too. So stay tuned. Feel free to like or subscribe or whatever if you liked what you saw. And until next time, I can't say something about keep comboing, but keep playing Sheldock Isle. That's an overlap. Well, not really, because Adnals doesn't really play it anymore. But anyway, you get the idea. Keep playing Sheldock Isle. All right, bye.